Hello everyone, this is Troy from Dash Cam Owners Australia, bringing you another dash cam review. Today we're looking at another camera from Kaiser Baas. It is their lower end model, the R10. The R10 features 1080p recording using a 120 degree angle lens, recording in a H.264 AVI file. Now we'll just start to take a look at what you get inside the box with this particular unit. And I'll lay it all out here on the table for you, and here you go. You get a 1.5 meter USB charging cable, a warranty card, user manual, a 2 output USB 12 volt adapter, the windscreen mount, and the camera itself. I'll now run you through a few of the different angles and features of this camera and its design. We'll start with the front on view of the camera, and as you can now see, it's a very sleek looking design, all black, so it's not going to stand out in the front window of your car. And on the rear side of the camera, as you can now see, we have a 2-inch LCD screen, and you can probably just see the buttons down each side of the camera. Now on the top of the camera where it mounts up, we also have a HDMI output, our USB charging, an AV out, as well as our memory card slot. Now on one side we have our menu buttons there, as well as our power and mode button. Now if we have a look at the other side of the camera, we'll see 3 more buttons, 1 being our record and 2 being navigation for navigating the menus on this camera. Now I'll just give you a couple quick photos of the camera with the mount attached. As you can see, it's a suction style mounting bracket via a ball joint. Just a side-on view there so you can see the sort of angle you'll get using this mount. Here it is mounted inside the car. I've got it mounted next to the R20 just to make it a bit easier when I'm reviewing multiple cameras. Also a good comparison of size there. The actual camera itself is not much bigger than the R20, it's just the mount that makes it appear so. Now here's the standard splash screen when this camera is running, and I'll run you through a few of the menus now as well. Here's the main video menu. There are 3 subsections, and I'll show you all 3 of them now. There's the motion event recording there, sound recording options, scene options. I'll give you further details in this shortly. And also exposure, white balance, and ISO sensitivity. Now I'll show you some of the other option menus in this camera. Here's your playback options for your volume. You can delete files and protect files. Your media testing, so you get you can format the SD card and you get some info on the SD card with that particular menu. Then the general settings for the camera, as well as your beeps, clock settings, formatting the car, date format, language, TV system, HDMI output options, flicker rate, USB function. You can choose to have the LCD rotated. Your LCD power save, which is how long you want before the screen turns off, to protect the files, motion detection settings. You can revert back to default settings and the firmware versions, which I'll show you here. Now I'll take you back through some of the other menus just so you can see some of the more in-depth options. We'll start with the video recording modes. As you see, 1920 by 1080 in 30 FPS and 720p in 30 FPS and 60 FPS. And as you can see, there's also a 640 by 480 option. Now we'll move on to some of the video scene, the quality options. We have superfine and fine. In the movie clip times, you can record in 1 minute, 3 minute and 5 minute segments with this camera. Your event recording options for 5 second, 10 second, 30 seconds or 1 minute for an event file. Now there's plenty of scene options here. All these options are as well available with the picture mode on this camera. As you can see, you've got lots of different options there to try out. You can also set your exposure level for this camera, so there's plenty of tweaking available to try and get the quality the way you like it. As you can see, again, white balance there, so there's definitely plenty of mucking around to be had if you want to try and get that footage absolutely perfect. And as you can now see, we have some ISO sensitivity options, so I don't think I've seen a camera on the market with this many options for getting the footage perfect just the way you want it. As you can see, your movie playback volume as well. Your power save, so your timeout for the screensaver on this camera, and the protect level for the G sensor. Alright, and finally we just have the menu for the motion detection, so we can set that to low, middle or high. But now we'll get stuck into some actual footage on this camera so you can see how it does. And as usual, the quality shown here may not represent the original due to the editing software I use and YouTube's compression. And into the footage we go. We start off with a relatively sunny day here, and as you can see, the camera's doing a very respectable job of it. I can read the signs on the businesses, can make out some of these license plates going past, at least on my computer I can. But one thing I have noticed is while I seem to sort of have a little blurry spot in the middle, that may be something to do with the settings that I'm using. I'm sure if I had a bit of a muck around I could probably get it a bit clearer. But anyway, there you go, very clear reading all that sign writing. But now we'll just move on to some afternoon footage, and I'll be quiet just so you can hear the microphone on this particular camera.
I'll just take the opportunity now to say a few words just so you get an idea of what the microphones are like on this particular camera. Once again, just doing 80k an hour, windows up, radio off, so I'm hoping that my voice should be coming through relatively clearly. Now I'm just going to drop one of the car windows down just so you get a bit of wind noise in, just to see how it handles it. Here we go. I'm just speaking with the window down now.
And now finally we have some nighttime footage. As you can see, it's about 8:30 here at night, and the footage has got a little bit grainier with the nighttime, but it still does a pretty good job. It's pulling a lot of light off those buildings, but as you can see off the cone front, I'm having a bit of reflection off that, so it's not able to pick up the license plate. That's probably due more to my headlights than the camera itself, but it does an okay job for a camera of this price at night time, so you'll get a lot where it's actually a lot darker than this. So I'd say it's doing, probably average above average for a camera of this price at night. And now that we've seen what this camera can do in terms of its footage, I think we'll just move on to my likes and dislikes for this particular model. And firstly, we'll start off with the likes. So my likes for this particular camera are the amount of options you get for the video there, but that's a double-edged sword, which I'll cover in a moment. The actual design of the camera, it's not the largest out there, it's probably about a medium-sized camera. The mount takes up the most of the room, but it's still a very nice design, and the nighttime quality is decent. And a few points I didn't quite like about this camera: the short charging cable at only 1.5 meters. Many people will find that that's really only enough to get you from the camera to your cigarette plug without hiding the wiring. So I feel that could be longer. And as I did mention, the amount of options for your video, there's that many different options there that it's either going to be something that people really like, or it's going to be too complicated for them to try and get the footage perfect. So a double-edged sword with that, but overall I was very impressed with this camera, and I hope you enjoyed this review. This is Troy from Dashcam Owners Australia saying goodbye.